Hi, Foggy here. I wasn't really expecting my first podfic to really get any attention, but I'm glad people seem to enjoy it. It means a lot to know people enjoy listening to me read. I'm planning to try to post here once a week, though it won't be on any set day, just when I have the time. Now, that's enough for me. Let's get on with the chapter. Chapter 2. Breaking into UA at 3:27 a.m. on a Tuesday was stupidly easy for Izuku. This is mostly because he has so much practice doing so, and against a Hatsume Industries trademark security system at that. In his time, if he got too bored, he'd break in to bother Shouta, and terrify, he means help, train the students so Shouta can nap. Eventually, he was just given a UAID card so he'd stop setting off the security, which really just enabled him to sneak up on and scare people easier. Nezu found his antics hilarious, so he was essentially allowed 100% free reign of campus, and thus, he now knows every single inch of it, including the hidden parts. Because of Hatsume Industries' backwards compatibility feature for integrating the old and new systems together, Izuku's UAID card worked even here, 15 years in the past. As a result, he was let in through the front gate without being identified as an intruder. Some might say that's cheating, or isn't a real break-in, but those people are dumb, and Izuku isn't trying to be arrested here. Besides, he's got at least 2 hours to burn before anyone arrives, so the real fun is using spare office supplies to rig pranks that Nezu will hopefully let him view going off via the security system. Several prepped and hidden confetti bombs, made of mostly printer paper and rubber bands planted throughout the teacher's lounge later, he still had time to burn, so logically, he moved every piece of furniture 2 inches to the left and rearranged the contents of the desks. Well, except Shota's, which he filled with origami cats, because he's unashamed of his favoritism towards his future best friend. Finally, it was getting closer to when people would start showing up, so Izuku used one of Nezu's secret passages to worm his way into Nezu's office. This is only possible because he knows Nezu's passcodes after spending so many afternoons helping cause chaos with the rat, but all prior knowledge is fair game when it comes to shenanigans. Nezu has predicted many things and was prepared for many things, walking into his office on a Tuesday morning to find a grown man already in his office, spinning in a desk chair while singing Barbie Girl to seemingly no one, seemingly because as an animal, Nezu has keener senses and can tell there's quite a few ghosts in the room. Whether or not this man is aware of, or even has anything to do with the ghost or not, is still up for debate. The man suddenly stops spinning by slamming a boot to the ground, facing Nezu directly and giving him a good view of the stranger. Assumedly armed to the teeth, the man was in an all-black jumpsuit similar to Eraserhead's, presumably made of Kevlar, that was loose enough to allow flexible movement, but also clearly plated around the chest and joints. Their thick, dark gray gloves met sleeves of the jumpsuit mid-forearm, but presumably went further and were obviously braced to help the body withstand impact. The knee-high black boots were thick and heavily plated, and the hood around his head keeping whatever features not covered by the gas mask and visor hidden. The visor itself featured LEDs in the shape of spinning spirals that cycled seamlessly through the color spectrum to represent the man's eyes. Nezu had never seen this man before and did not recognize the costume he was wearing. Who is he? How'd he get in? Yet, despite the suspicious circumstances, he sensed no malice or ill intent from the man. The man let his head loll to the side like a rag doll. "Want to hear something funny?" Nezu blinked. "We've had a temporal anomaly," the man giggled wildly. "Scenario 3, Subclass 6, Version 4. Hearing that specific code and category, Nezu's mousy face split into a grin and he began to cackle. The combined manic laughter of the two was enough to make half of Japan involuntarily shudder with a sudden special kind of dread. Nezu quickly made some tea and settled at his desk, much more relaxed than before. "So, non-emergency accidental time travel, was it?" Nezu asked with an unhinged amount of joy. "Yep, isn't it hilarious?" the man replied, equally unhinged and joyous. Just poof, suddenly I'm just over 15 years in the past. Fucking quirks, am I right? "Oh, I can't wait to hear all about this," Nezu replied. "First, though, let's get you set up in the proper systems, yes?" "Of course, I'm Underground Pro Hero Mayhem," the man said with a mock salute. "My civilian name is Mikumo Shimura." Nezu let out a hum. I can't find any Mikumo Shimuras in the civilian database. Shimura records are quite spotty at the best of times, but for us to be good enough friends that you know my codes, I would imagine there'd be a record of your existence. Oh yeah, that's because it's not my birth name. You helped me assume a new identity when I was 20 because I needed a new start, Mikumo stated, not because I did anything bad or whatever. I just wanted to be myself and quit pretending to be nice and innocent all the time to make people like me. That, and my quirk is haunted, which makes being Limelight kinda difficult because people think I'm crazy, and it especially doesn't help that I think it's funny and will start laughing at them. That's quite alright, Nezu chittered with amusement. Let's remake your files then, shall we? Sweet, here's my hero license and ID. The file is backwards compatible, so it should work. Mikumo tossed the cards onto Nezu's desk. Make sure the files are permanent. I think I'm stuck here for good. Rules of time and all that. After noting that there were no alerts from the security system, despite Mikumo presumably having broken in, Nezu examined the cards that had been tossed on the desk. They certainly looked official, one being a hero license and the other a civilian ID made specifically for heroes. Both have most details and chips within the card that can't be accessed through unofficial means for their own protection. This makes them practically impossible to fake and very secure. Luckily, Nezu has access to official programs, so accessing the information was relatively easy. According to the hero license file chip, Mikumo was an exceptional underground hero, and hero partners with a Racerhead, which is an accomplishment in itself. He has 10 years as an underground hero and 2 as a Limelighter, but all identifying information from before switching to underground has been sealed and redacted. This is common practice with heroes who switch over, as the publicly available information from Limelight careers would be bad for going underground. Mikumo's is sealed to an uncommon degree, however. Even Nezu can't seem to unredact it. You have quite the resume. Nezu slid the card back over to Mikumo. Can you tell me why I can't unencrypt your file? Mikumo, who had been spinning happily in the desk chair while he waited, stopped again and quickly snatched the cards back. Oh, that's because it's not encrypted. I thought it'd be funnier and safer if my sealed file was actually just a file form filled with black bars, but done so with programming so people think it's encoded. Nezu chittered in delight. Brilliant! Imagine how many hours a hacker would waste trying to get information that's not there to begin with! Exactly! I love inconveniencing people, Mikumo cheered. Nezu grinned. He can definitely see why he and Mikumo were friends in the future. Since I can't access anything before your past 10 years, can you confirm your details for me? I do need to know what hero school you graduated from and such. Sure thing, I graduated from UA as one of the big 3, but when we made my new identity, that was switched to me having completed a private apprenticeship that had me debut as a low-ranked Limelighter before switching over and becoming a highly successful Under, Mikumo said, shooing something invisible away with one hand. We used you as my mentor and listed a variety of heroes as having assisted off the books, mostly using ones that had died to keep my file from being debunked. Oh, how exciting. I will fill the names to match this time period, then, Nezu said. Can you tell me about your quirk? I'll make it a bit easier to find an appropriate matchup, as the only thing on your file is that it's called Party Tricks, while the description is just, and I quote, "It's 7 generations of fun," end quote. It's one for all, Mikumo stated without much care or any acknowledgement to the way Nezu froze up. I kinda synergized with it so much that I unlocked not only the ghosts of the past users, but their quirks as well, so technically I have 7 quirks bundled into one. It would be 8, but I don't count transfer since the quirk is too powerful to be passed on, again among other things. Nezu stared at him. So you're the 9th, yes, Mikumo confirmed. But who honestly gives a damn about that? I call it Party Tricks now. Each quirk being one of those tricks from a different generation of hero. It's 7 generations of fun! Of course, it's a bit too OP to be used against villains directly half the time, so I mostly use party tricks for more entertaining ventures. Do you want me to call All Might? Nezu asked. Why would I want that? It's not like he doesn't already have his own one for all. Mikumo, who had his head tilted to the side, body language portraying confusion. My quirk ain't his business. Fair enough, Nezu suggested. Would you like anyone informed, or would you rather this stay between us? I can sign a non-disclosure for the latter if you wish. Yeah, keeping it quiet would be preferable, honestly. I haven't been in contact with Yagi since I switched identities, and I have no intention of letting him find out who I was in any timeline, Mikumo said. I also ask you don't direct him to my teen self. I accepted the burden of this quirk with 0 of the information I should have been told up front, and under circumstances that, if told to an outside party, would be considered targeted and manipulative, even if that's not Yagi's intention at all. If my teen self accepts the quirk this time, it will be under controlled circumstances, with all the information, and under my guidance, not Yagi's. Is Yagi's guidance not up to standard? Nezu asked, more curious than judgmental. His only piece of advice to me was to, and I quote, clench your butt cheeks and yell smash, Mikumo stated flatly. Nezu frowned. Maybe I should insist he be put with another teacher for his classes if that's the kind of teaching ability we're dealing with. Good luck with... Mikumo suddenly stopped and looked to the side, head swiveling and focus changing from one spot of the room to another, as if listening to something Nezu couldn't hear or see. After a few moments of this, he gasped in delight. Oh my god, you guys are so right. I can just picture it. Imagine his face. It would also mean I could... Exactly! Care to share with the class? Nezu asked. Shiro and Yoshi said you should hire me, Mikumo said with all kinds of glee, leaning in close. Make me the heroics teacher. Nezu sipped his tea thoughtfully. Shiro and Yoshi. Oh shit, it's the past, so you haven't been introduced yet. Here, allow me to introduce my ghosts, Mikumo exclaimed, leaning back to start pointing to various empty spaces in the room. Over there is Yoshi, he's the first holder. Then we've got Kojo, who's the second. Shiro is the third. Hikage is the fourth. Banjo is fifth and is sixth. And finally, Nana over here is seventh. Nezu's ears flicked, but he didn't refute Mikumo at all. The ghosts aren't visible to him at the moment, but he suspects, given the ghosts are tied directly to One for All, or Party Tricks as it's called now, that should Mikumo activate his quirk, they'd become visible to him, or at the very least, more than just a vague presence. It wouldn't make a difference to a human, but again, Nezu is no human, and he does not doubt Mikumo's claim. It's a pleasure, Nezu greeted the presences sincerely before focusing back on Mikumo. We can speak on any teaching placement later. For now, we should finish this up. Gladly, Mikumo agreed. Izuku, well, he's fully Mikumo now, since he's not the only him anymore, and isn't that a special kind of relief, spoke with Nezu for a bit longer. Before he was sent back, it was the end of July. Now, it's the beginning of April. So, since he hasn't been 30 all that long anyway, Mikumo decided he'll just pretend to be 29 again until the upcoming July 15th. His file and license data was adjusted to reflect this. He was set up under the paper agency Eraserhead works for, just like he was in the future. His paperwork was already on his license chip, so it was quite easy to do, but with a freelance tag so he can take work as he pleases. In addition to his job, Nezu graciously got him an apartment where he'd ask. No landlord is going to question the smartest rat in existence, especially when they offer to pay a full year's rent in advance. And accounts and money so he could eat and buy clothes and such. You know, since Mikumo hasn't been paid in this timeline yet. After all, Nezu was hardly going to leave time-traveling chaos incarnate high and dry, especially if it means he'll be coming back for tea once he's settled. They both know very well Nezu has been funneling cash into various special accounts, including a chaos fund, which is for funding chaos, and Mikumo is entirely chaos. It took a few hours to do everything and get everything settled, but they managed, and, as a reward for all their hard work, they watched Mikumo's pranks go off on Nezu's staff in the teacher's lounge via the security footage together. The cackling of the two of them as staff kept setting off confetti because they couldn't find where anything was kept stopped anyone from bursting in to complain. At least Shouta was clearly happy sitting at his desk in the staff room covered in origami cats, and that's really all Mikumo cared about. Well, I'm off to my new apartment, Mikumo declared. Thanks, Nezu, you're the best. One more question before you go, Nezu spoke. Mikumo purposely froze in place mid-step. Yeah? Why did you spare Aizawa your pranks? Nezu asked curiously. Everyone else is a mess. Oh, that's because he's my best friend, Mikumo replied happily. Or at least, he was, and now he's going to be again. Just you wait. Those words felt like a promise. Then, Mikumo was gone from the office via secret passage. Nezu chuckled quietly to himself. It looks like Aizawa is about to gain a new friend, whether he wants one or not. It'll be an entertaining watch. Of that, Nezu is sure. You've now reached the end of Chapter 2. Thanks for tuning in. I hope you enjoyed both the fic and my reading of it. We'll be back with Chapter 3 next week. See ya! This chapter was recorded live on Discord February 9th. The intro and outro were recorded directly before posting.